Welcome to this second tutorial on the use of variables. Now here you should have opened a new blank window once you open the Python shell by using the keys Ctrl+N, and then saved your new file with a meaningful name and with the .py file extension. So I've called my file variables.py. Now in maths and algebra, we're very much used to representing numbers and other values by letters or words. So when I say x equals 5, for example, we're used to representing numbers and other values in that way, just with other words and letters that we can recognize. And we can do a very similar thing in programming, as we will see in this tutorial. So I'm going to start off with the example I mentioned. I'm just going to set a variable called x, which is set to the integer 5 using the equal sign. And y is set to the value or the integer 10. Now I've got another variable called message, and that is set to the string containing in speech marks hello world. So variables come in different types. We have integers, we have strings, we have lists, as we'll see later on. We have all kinds of variables in Python. So I've got x, y and message, 2 integers and 1 string. I could add the command print followed by brackets with the variable I want to print out. So as we're going to see in the program, it's going to print out the words hello world. I've got another variable called area rect, and I'm imagining x and y to be lengths and widths of a rectangle. So the area of the rectangle would be x times y, and that's what I'm setting area of rectangle to. And the perimeter of the rectangle, perimeter rect, is also going to be an integer, which is calculated by doubling x and doubling y, and then adding the two together. So those are my two new integer variables based on x and y. Then I can also get Python to print these out too. So print followed by the 2 brackets, and within the brackets you tell Python what you want to print. So I'm going to tell it to print out the rectangle and area perimeter as words, as a string. And then on a new line I'm going to print again, and I'm actually going to print out these variables separated by commas. Now we're going to look at a simple example of working out the volume of a cylinder. So a cylinder, as we know, is a prism with a cross section which is a circle and a length through which that cross section runs. So at first I'm going to reset the variable y to 3. It was originally 10, but after I print area rectangle and the perimeter of the rectangle, I'm going to set it to 3 instead. So after reassigning the variable y to the value or the integer 3, I'm now going to declare a new variable called pi, and I'm going to set it to the float number or the decimal number to 3.14159, a number which I'm sure everyone's familiar with. And another variable called radius, and I'm just going to set that to the integer 10. Now we know with regards to cylinders that to work out the volume of the cylinder, you have to work out the area of the cross section, so the face of the circle, and then multiply it by the height of the cylinder. So what we're going to do is volume cylinder is pi times the radius squared, or radius times radius. So that's the area of the circle. And now what I have to do is multiply that number I've got by the height, which I decided would be y, the value 3. So again, vol cylinder equals the volume of the cylinder we have so far times y, which so far in the first line, volume cylinder is pi times radius squared. So that's working out the area of the circle, and volume of the cylinder is that value multiplied by the height of the cylinder, which is y. And then I'm just going to use print commands to print out the calculations, the calculations that I've made. So I'm going to print out what the cylinder volume. I'm going to print out that text, and then I'm going to print out the variable that I just calculated for cylinder. So now if I press F5 and run this program on the Python shell, I see this screen in front of me. So the printout hello world, I said that before, print out the message. Then I print out rectangle area and perimeter, and these are the values I worked out, 50 and 30. And then cylinder volume, the calculation made ended up as 942.477.